Good afternoon. Today is the 30th of March, and we're going to look at a couple of topics today. One of them is, why is petrol so cheap? And secondly, if you want a new car at the moment, can you still buy one? Let's get into it. So, as you would have seen at the moment, the number of people actually driving anywhere has massively fallen. I went out today to do some essential driving to collect her from my mother's house and to just check up on her. And the roads are very, very empty. Now, obviously, if you're not going for a reason like that, you really shouldn't be driving anyway. It's essential only. But because there is a lot of spare petrol and diesel out there, and I think there's some kind of price war between the Middle East and Russia at the moment, although you don't quite be on that. There's a lot of fuel out there, and I think the petrol stations and supermarkets are trying to sell it off. Petrol has fallen in this area by about 15p a litre over the last few weeks. In some places, it's actually more than that. I know that Asda is one of the cheapest places to fill up at, not that I'm sponsored by Asda or anything, and I certainly wouldn't recommend using E5 Asda petrol if you're, if you're driving an older classic car like a Mark II Granada or something like that. I would not recommend putting E5 Asda fuel in a 2.8 Cologne engine. But if you're just running a normal car like this Seat, absolutely fine on E5, no problem. Then you're going to get some very cheap fuel. I wouldn't be surprised if fuel goes under £1 a litre. The last time, funnily enough, that it went under £1 a litre was about 2016. And that was the time when I had another Rover 216 SLI automatic. Isn't it strange how things come around in cycles? So I used to go to this particular Asda here, and I used to fill the Rover up for 97 pence a litre. At the moment it's about £1.04, I think, but that might fall. Obviously, if you're really in need of your car at the moment, you're in an essential profession, working in a supermarket, being somebody who's in transportation logistics, and obviously the NHS or anybody like that, then this is a great thing to happen. I don't really see disadvantage of having cheap petrol, particularly. A lot of us can't even use it anyway, so the sales aren't going to be huge. But yes, it's a nice thing to happen. The other thing, of course, is, can you actually go and buy a new car at the moment? Can you buy one? Well, yes and no. The dealer where I did my last job for a client before we went into extreme measures, which was about 10 days ago or so, but I did the last job, that dealer is now closed. There are other dealers that are open, but they tend to be for appointments to have a car serviced and MOT'd if you really need that. Obviously, you don't need an MOT. Now, if your car has an MOT that expires after today, you get a 6-month exemption anyway. So the Rover's due on 1st of June. I don't need to send that in until December or something. So that's good, depending on how long the situation lasts. But yes, getting service, you don't probably need to rush to get your car serviced if you're not using it very much. Obviously, keeping to the manufacturer's schedule is the best idea, as we talked about in the previous video. And if you're doing very high mileage, you might want to service your car a bit more frequently than that. But yes, a lot of the dealers for sales are not open. Summit Garage in Dudley, which you would know from some of the MG videos I've done, the newer MGs, they supplied free MGs for filming back in December, and I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I just happened to ask for those cars, and they were allowed to. They were able to supply them, which is brilliant. They'll do you a nice deal on a brand new MG, but I mean, they have to work from home. The sort of service operation is functioning. The sales one, it's more sort of working from home and just looking at the deals that are available. It's not so much that you can just go in there and buy a car and walk away with one. It's not quite like that. Some dealerships are even sort of more locked down than that. However, there is one way you can get your hand of a new car if you really want one, and I'll just explain that now. Some of you will know that I supply cars on a frequent basis to the OSV YouTube channel for their Behind the Wheel series that they film every week. I don't think they're doing one at the moment because, well, it's hard to film one outside their office if the office is closed, which it is. And people can't sit in proximity, which is what normally happens to two people sit in front of a car and film. That's not really compliant with the distance regulations that are present, so they're not doing that in the same way. But OSV are a leasing company. They don't sponsor the channel or anything. They don't give me anything, but they are actually open for business still, and because they don't have sort of an inventory like a dealership would do, they just have suppliers who would bring the car, I think they deliver the cars to you anyway. So they have a certain number of suppliers that are desperately keen to sell cars. I mean, what manufacturers are not desperate to sell cars at the moment when the market's massively down? Obviously next week we'll probably look at what the actual figures were for March 2020 and see how much of a decrease it's been, not only over the previous month but the previous year, March 2019. But if you really need a new car and you're coming to the end of your finance agreement, then that would be a way of doing it. There are other leasing companies out there, obviously. Pendle Leasing is a big one, and James Martin's JM on Cars, his channel sponsored by Pendle Leasing. So if you do want one, probably leasing is a very good way of getting hold of one. They can't guarantee the sort of wait times or anything on a new car, but if you need something to get you around, particularly if you've got a profession that requires you to do driving at the moment, and there are some of you out there I know who really do need something reliable to get you around, and prefer to get a new one rather than a used one, then that might be a way forward. I'm not, obviously I'm not got any sponsored links or anything to that, but that's just what I'm gathering from the situation at the moment. So yes, there we go. Two sort of interesting areas of the situation we find ourselves in at the moment. Yes, petrol is very cheap, which is brilliant. There are reasons for that, and that it's not really a problem. Secondly, yes, you can still buy a new car, but there probably are one or two things you need to be aware of before you negotiate that deal. So thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos. We've got plenty more to come this week. And don't forget to visit my Facebook page, facebook.com/Lloyd Vehicle Consulting. I've also got an Instagram account, Lloyd Vehicle Consulting, if you want to look that up. And a website, www.lloydvehicleconsulting.co.uk. If you wish me to just point you in the right direction of somebody who could help you get a new car, then just let me know. There's a website page called Contact Me, which enables you to be in touch directly. Thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching.